This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on October 31st, 2019, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on November 7th, 2019. Councilman Guarino?
Present.
Councilman Kukoviac?
Present.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Present.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Present.
Council President Castellino?
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Welcome, West Orange, to our March 3rd meeting. Already, we're in the month of March. And I would like to start off with a public service announcement. As we've all been listening in the news, we've been hearing about the coronavirus that's sweeping throughout the rest of the world and now here in our nation. Mayor yesterday and our superintendent put out statements to the public informing them of where the township has been proactive and where they've been having communications with the county and the state. And I just want to quickly go over just a couple preventative actions. Always avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze with the tissue, then throw the tissue in the trash. Clean and disinfect frequently. Follow CDC's recommendation for using face masks. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially after going to the bathroom, before eating, and after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing. So basically, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. If you're sick, stay home. The mayor and the superintendent of schools will be frequently giving out notices, and we have information up on our Facebook page. Our Director of Health, Teresa Genova, has been in contact with the CDC since mid-January. So we've been on top of it. Any reason you are sick, you're feeling ill, please make sure you reach out to your doctor. So we just want to thank our health department for being diligent, and all our officials, our OEM, and our first responders. Always be thoughtful of our first responders. If you are feeling ill and you call and you think you may be infected with the virus, make sure you state so if you're in the need of calling 411. So just a few reminders, and we hope everyone stays well. With the wellness thought in mind, I'd like to call up our first guest this evening, Emily from ShopRite. We are going to talk, this is Dietitian Awareness Month, and she is going to give us a presentation. So thank you. You come every year. If you'd like to come up to the podium.
So I brought some snacks because that's what dietitians, especially working in ShopRite, do. So there's a couple. There's like Love Corn, which is like a corn pop, kind of like a crunchy corn thing. So there's a couple flavors, or if you like a little chocolate, there's some mini chocolate granola bars in there, and there's enough for everyone here. So feel free to help yourself. But yes, so this month is National Nutrition Month. So just a recognition for healthy eating and living. And next Wednesday, the 9th, is Registered Dietitian Day, so celebrating registered dietitians. A little bit about me. I am at the ShopRite here in West Orange and started in September. And things I love about being a dietitian is showing people how to live and eat healthy and making it affordable, approachable, and of course delicious. So definitely being in the grocery store, I get to do that. So thank you for having me, and thank you for recognizing nutrition, especially with, yes, all of the sickness going around. Good nutrition is always a good start too.
And Emily, real quick, if you could just state your last name again.
Oh,
I
yes.
apologize because
Okay.
I didn't mention it.
Yes, Emily Cooper.
And how does someone get in touch with you at ShopRite?
Yep. So they can either visit me right in my office. They can call my direct line. They can email me, or we also have online booking at dietitians.shoprite.com. And we also list all of our community events in the store, as well as any openings that we have for one-on-one consultations, since all of our services are free of charge, which is a great public service announcement I like to make, is that everything we provide is free of charge too.
That's great. Councilman Guarino, I see
Thank you,
have a
Council
question.
President. Thank you for bringing the goodies today. So now we can lunch during our long meeting. Thank you very much.
You're very
Do you think not only like organizations, companies like ShopRite, but do you also think that our parents are doing enough when it comes to youth, nutrition and diets and everything else with the increase in, juvenile diabetes? I mean, are there things that you do, that ShopRite does to bring that to the forefront so parents have the opportunity to address that?
Yes, definitely. So that's especially close because my background is in child nutrition. So going into dietetics, I wanted to focus on child nutrition and worked a lot in the public schools as a food service director, as well as doing nutrition education in after schools, especially in low-income schools as well. So I think every parent initially, they want to feed their kids healthy and they want to provide them with the proper nutrition and things that are good for them, and providing them with resources and how to do that, no matter what kind of boundaries they're facing, is something that I really strive to do. So I do work a lot with the school system here in West Orange and the surrounding towns, as well as daycares, and then doing a lot of programming in the store as well. I always promote our free fruit program that we have there, so we have free bananas and clementines for any kids that come in and want a healthy snack, so always at least providing them a healthy snack. And then, having resources, classes for parents as well as children is always something that I strive to do, and getting that message and showing parents that it is affordable, it's easy, and it's good for the entire family to eat something healthy.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you,
for
Council
your
President.
question. Yes.
Anyone else have a question before I give Emily this proclamation?
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess along those same lines, are you seeing more and more allergies too, particularly, right, working with children?
Yes, food allergies, there's definitely more that we are noticing more. What the cause of that is it's really not known. A lot of different changes have come with that, but schools are especially diligent on that. And something that I always have to consider when doing programming is making sure accounting for that. And also, educating parents or any caregivers how to reasonably do that, because it can be overwhelming and a lot to take in, especially with the amount of food that's available now. Always have helpful to educate.
So is ShopRite making like a separate section? They did a gluten-free section. They're doing now with their wholesome pantry foods for organics. Do they have it separated somewhere for parents to make it easier to? Just curious.
We don't have a separate allergen-friendly, but we do have kind of a section that's in the allergen or the gluten-free section that does have a lot of the allergen-friendly products, and try to call out, especially on the labels, always calling out anything that it may contain. But we don't have a designated spot in the store, but I always try to kind of point people to the right direction, because there are a lot of different options, especially now, which is good, which, yes, allergies may be on the rise, but they do have a lot of different options too. I think peanut butter is the big one. Schools can't have any peanuts, and they have, all different kind of alternatives that will be safe and pretty similar to peanut butter. So kind of breaking that, stigma or anything around kids that may have allergies that want to eat the same things that their friends are eating. So just making it really approachable for them to do as well.
Are the programs that you just mentioned, are they on the website, that if we were to go to the website, you could see that and promote those?
Yep, so I always put it on dietitians.shoprite.com. That's kind of where we do our online calendars, but any events that I have in the store, I'll always post on our Facebook page as well. So we have a ShopRite of West Orange Facebook page. So we'll kind of give a description for what the class is, as well as have a clickable link to register right there.
Good.
So I'm doing, a unicorn cooking class with kids this month, so that'll be fun. Yes.
Need to get that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. So I'd like to present this to you. We appreciate you coming down this evening, and we really appreciate you being in our township and being so proactive to help not only all our residents, but also the children of our township as well. I know both the township has a wellness program that our employees follow, and the school district follows. They have a wellness committee and a food allergy committee. So on behalf of the mayor, Robert D. Parisi, for National Nutrition Month 2020, whereas food is a substance by which life is sustained, and the type, quality, amount of food that individuals consume each day plays a vital role in their overall health and physical fitness. and there is a need for continuing nutrition education and a wide-scale effort to enhance healthy eating practices. Now therefore, I, Robert D. Parisi, Mayor of the Township of West Orange, do hereby proclaim the month of March National Nutrition Month in West Orange, New Jersey. And I encourage all citizens to join the campaign and become concerned about their nutrition and the nutrition of others in hope of achieving optimum health for both today and tomorrow. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Emily, for coming down today. I'm just going to
Yes, that would be great.
up to first and get
Oh, great.
proclamation.
She's going to take one for me.
It smells from here. I know, I hardly am. That's really strong.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the first aisle with all the fruits and vegetables. Thank you very much for coming down. Next, I'd like to call up longtime resident and great booster parent back in the day when all her kids were in the high school. Jane Rubino, if you could please come up for Colon Awareness Month, Colon Cancer Awareness Month. Great to see you. Good to see you. I know she gets a hug.
I know.
Long time friend.
Promise I'm not sick.
If you'd like to, I feel bad, we do not have a proclamation for the,
It is fine.
For the awareness, but if you could please, if you could let our residents know the importance and the awareness and the signs. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jane Rubino. I'm a registered nurse. I am working tonight with Montclair State University, and March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. I would just like to inform the public that getting your screenings is very, very important. If you are a man or a woman between the ages of 50 to 74, it is important that you begin your colon screenings. If you have certain family history of ulcerative colitis or also Crohn's disease, or a family member who's had colon cancer, close family member with colon cancer, or colon polyps, your risk factors increase and you may begin your screenings before the age of 50. The CDC is reporting that 1 out of every 3 Americans is not taking advantage of colon screenings.
Wow.
It is important. Early detection saves lives. And please,
Period.
if you have not spoken to your healthcare provider regarding your risks and your options, please do so as soon as possible.
And Jane, I have a question for you. We see a lot of times on commercials, there's these home screening tests. You recommend those or go to your physician?
I would go to your physician and see what your physician recommends based on your risk factors.
Very good. Any of my colleagues have any questions?
No?
Mr. Rubino? Thank you very much for
time.
coming down. We appreciate it. Okay. Thank you for our guest speakers. Theme is health and wellness this evening, starting off March. So right now, I'm going to ask Mr. Sayers if you can give us an update on redevelopment on all our projects.
Sure.
If you'd like to start with the Edison Lofts.
Okay, I do not have any numbers tonight, unfortunately, but I can tell you I did look up the Phase 2, 1A has been approved by the Planning Board, which is the Babcock Place part of Phase 2. And the second part of Phase 2 is going before the Planning Board, which is Barton Press and the DPW site. So that's where we're at with that. And with regard to sale of the property, there's nothing, I haven't seen anything on that.
So we don't know if it closed yet.
I don't even know if they even have a buyer, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So that's where we're at with that.
Does anyone have a particular question on that project? Okay, what about Central Avenue?
Central Avenue is moving ahead, right? Yeah, I'm not so sure exactly where it's at, but it's, they're moving ahead with it. That I can tell you. I'm not sure exactly where they're at.
I was in the planning department on
Or
last week.
excuse me, Councilwoman.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was in the planning department last week, just stopped in to have some conversations, but I heard that they had already applied for some certificate of occupancy, so it sounds like
Yeah.
they're ready to
There's-
start
Yes,
moving
they've
in.
applied for some COs,
Yeah.
definitely.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
And Executive Drive, I know we have a resolution tonight for the 10 Rooney Circle, and that is to give, I guess, grant permission for the library to go for the grant. So-
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
once-
So as of right now, we're just waiting to finalize everything with
Okay.
regard to the library and whether, I don't think we're going to do the dog park up there.
No,
No.
not working out
No.
logistically,
No.
or what's
We-
the...
It's just not a great spot from what we've looked at. So we're more concerned with doing the library.
Okay, so with that being said, would the funding that would have gone to that dog park, where are we at?
Well, we're looking for another location.
Okay, so they'll
Yeah.
still fund a
Yeah,
dog
they're
park
still
for
going to
us?
fund it. It's just whatever location you're going to go to.
Okay. I was in 300 Executive Drive, and they're moving along with renovating that building,
Yeah.
which is...
Oh, yeah.
Which is great.
That's a separate entity that's doing that building.
Do any of my colleagues have any questions for Mr. Sayers on any of these projects? Councilwoman?
Thank you. Not a question, but just, I did speak to Joe Alpert at the Chamber Breakfast back in January, and I guess a year ago, I had met with master gardeners, county master gardeners, because once Joe daylighted the stream, they had asked if they could replenish that, and Joe got permission from the DEP to have the Essex County Master Gardeners actually design all the gardens around the stream. So
Right.
I think that would be really beautiful.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it'd be nice.
Yep.
He's doing a good job.
Okay, great. Council liaison announcements. Councilman Guarino?
Thank you, Council President. Okay. Just starting out, it's been a very exciting couple of weeks. We had a volunteer promo committee meeting 2 weeks ago through the Downtown West Orange Alliance. We had a great turnout, new faces, new residents, people who want to get involved, people who want to see what they can do to make West Orange a great town that it is and will continue to be. So we got some new volunteers who are coming in. They're going to bring new people themselves, people they know on their block who were not able to attend the meeting. So we'll get some new people to come in and help us do the events that we want to do. But of course, it always takes increased number of volunteers to do the things that we'd like to do. A big shout out to Cherie Harrison, a West Orange resident, and congratulations on pulling this all together. Really, really happy that she was able to do this. I want to thank my colleagues who were there for attending the meeting as well. Our next big meeting is our design committee meeting, and that's another very important meeting, and you're welcome to come. It'll be on March 19th at 6:30 p.m. in room 109 on the first floor of Township Hall. Another great note for the Downtown West Orange Alliance are the improvements in progress at 275 Main Street. The building is owned by one of our own residents and one of our own trustees of the Downtown West Orange Alliance. It's Darren Curtin, and a big shout out to Darren for his continued support and faith in the downtown community and the entire West Orange community. So you'll see a new facade improvement on that building. Right now, it's home to Tiger Karate, who's doing very well and been there for a while, and Pet Pals. Pet Pals has been there over 20-something years and going. So we're really happy that Darren made the commitment. So we're very appreciative to that. Another thing I want to do, a bunch of you who were able to attend last week's the big Taste of the World at the Mayfair Farms, and was run by the West Orange Rotary, and a great job, and a big shout out to Megan Brill, the president of the West Orange, actually our downtown executive director, but also the incoming president of the West Orange Rotary. So a big shout out to them. It's a great event. 50-plus restaurants and vendors who were able to taste great desserts, great foods, new restaurants in town, Patsy's, Bonds. We're really, really happy they came out to show their support for the community involvement of the West Orange Rotary. They raised over $25,000, and the $25,000 goes to high school scholarships and international, national, community, and civic organizations to support the cause of the Rotary. So we're very happy, and congratulations to Megan and to the West Orange Rotary. Just a note, our next West Orange Pedestrian Safety Board meeting will be on March 11th. Of course, I have to tell Mr. Puglisi, it'll be at Turtleback Zoo at the ECEC, the environmental area. It's a great facility, and we thank the county for the use of that. It's been very helpful. And our next Downtown West Orange Alliance meeting will be on March 18th at 7 p.m. in room 109. So we hope you come out. You should come out to these events and these meetings because you can get your point across and you can see what's really going on in town. There's some real exciting things, particularly with, pedestrian safety. The meetings that we have are getting great turnouts. We're working on a road diet, waiting for Mr. Laporte to come and finish the presentation. So hopefully we'll have something. We had a great meeting 3 weeks ago. Thanks again to the Thomas Edison National Park and Mr. Tom Ross, the superintendent, for hosting it. People got to see the drawings for the road diet, phase 1, and we're really excited about rolling that out very, very shortly. And Council President, may make just one public announcement that some residents have been asking me that basically are part of pedestrian safety. At your, permission, I'd like to just make a statement. It has to do with Woodland Avenue and Pleasant Valley Way. And a lot of residents in the area have been emailing me, calling me, and they're very, very concerned with the safety and the operation of the intersection and the lighting at the intersection. And I appreciate the response I've gotten back from the county engineer and a couple of freeholders who say that the intersection meets all the safety standards. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate the responses back. But the one thing is the county residents, the township residents in that neighborhood in Pleasantdale feel differently. And they're very concerned. And I know you're not ignoring them, but they would just like to see some more come about of the safety at Woodland Avenue and Pleasant Valley Way. The one thing I'd like to see, if we're still doing research and monitoring, I got the traffic crash stats for the last 5 years up there, and between 2015 and 2019, there were 15 crashes, and of those crashes, 1 was an auto pedestrian, 8 were minor rear-end crashes when people stopped at the light, 1 was a deer, and 1 was a right on red. But we please note and the county engineer basically stated his position, and we understand that. And hopefully something will be done, just like the county was very grateful in doing the Alyssa Drive traffic light, which has been a godsend to the students and residents of Pleasant Valley Way by the high school. But if something could be done right away, I think what they'd really like to is to put the sunshades on the light system so that when you're facing the lights and with the sun coming over your back, it enables the drivers to see the red, green, and yellow. So we're hoping that gets done. So thank you, Council President. I just want to make that statement from the residents that I've been getting in Pleasantdale.
Not a problem, Councilman.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Matu Brown?
Yes, thank you.
Just wanted to briefly update with respect to the Municipal Alliance. They have submitted their grant application December 18th, so they're waiting to hear back for their approval. Once they do that, they are going to come to council and make a presentation to both keep us all informed, but also to raise awareness amongst the community with respect to their programming and funding. They met this last week, and they were reviewing their self-assessment tools. So trying to see how they're performing as a committee, and also to assess what are their goals. And public awareness is one of those goals that they've set. And they've also identified 2 issues that they will focus on, which is alcohol consumption and marijuana use. And once again, when they have the approval from the state for the grant, then they will introduce the programs that they are going to focus on to address those areas of need that they've identified as well. I wanted to also, I know Joe Fagan is not here today, and wish him a speedy recovery. He's having knee surgery or had knee surgery earlier today. Hopefully he's feeling better. But I just wanted to point out, you know, we hear a lot of things about a lot of us here and those employees at Town Hall, and there's not enough moments where we highlight the pluses. And for me, I asked Joe Fagan to sit with us to discuss Anthony Thompson's potential marker in town. And Anthony Thompson, for those of you who don't know, I don't want to just always say that he was the last freed slave that lived and died in Essex County, because he actually became a landowner. So we want to focus on his journey from his that trajectory. So Joe came in on Sunday with a PowerPoint presentation, and we met here along with, so I thank him. I say that to say that that's not his job. It's just something that he does because he loves this community, and you know, all those who were here as well and volunteered. Ron Raymond from the Downtown West Orange Alliance, who is now the new chair of the Downtown West Orange Alliance, so congratulations to him. Dr. Jones, David Jones from the Human Relations Commission, and Shannon Gatton from the Human Relations Commissions, they both gave up some time to come meet and discuss the next steps. So please, we'll keep you updated and posted as to what that's going to look like. But I just wanted to highlight that because we do have some really great people who give of themselves more than others would know. And in that same vein, I'll highlight again Mr. Sayers, because we got notice that the grant application that he assisted in providing to the county for the census outreach program that we're going to have here with the Census Committee was actually granted for us. So we got $10,000 coming in those efforts. And to all those volunteers, I know a lot of our council members who are attending the meetings, we are going to continue to discuss how we raise awareness and the importance of being counted, because a lot of our federal dollars, all of our federal dollars come from everyone being counted. A special shout out to the West Orange Public Schools, who are already stepping out ahead of the game and raising awareness with respect to the census. If you haven't looked at their page yet, their Board of Ed page, you really should. I'm incredibly impressed at how they are talking about statistics with the census at this point. So that's all for me for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank
Councilwoman
you.
McCartney.
Thank you very much. That's a lot of good news, and I think we can look at grants now, or put that on the radar for our grant writers to look for the historical marker grants that we've done before. I too wanted to thank Megan and the crew for the Rotary Taste and the $25,000 or more that was raised. It's still going up, so wonderful. And congratulations to the Arts Council collaborating with West Orange African Heritage Organization for the exhibit that just ended this weekend on sharing our stories. Carol Black Lemon did an outstanding job just culling all of that information to put on display. And also the involved with the West Orange Arts Council, the West Orange Film Society, celebrating their, I want to say, 15th year. Very successful season for their classic film festival. So we look forward to more meetings to decide what to do again next year. The Rent-A-House, the board will meet this Monday, March 9th. At 6 o'clock, we meet at the Rent-A-House, and if anyone that lives there or knows someone that lives there has any concerns, please reach out so we can add that to our agenda. The Friends of Thomas Edison National Historic Park, we will meet on Monday, March 16th at the Edison Labs. If anyone wants to get involved, please, again, reach out. Where are we going? Planning Board meets tomorrow evening here in Council Chambers at 7:30. We have 2 properties on our agenda that are seeking subdivision, and the Montclair Golf Club is coming in to relocate their pool and build a recreation center. So that will be tomorrow evening at 7:30, sorry. And I invite everyone, the West Orange Environmental Commission next Wednesday will have, I don't know how many years it's been, but a launch to kick off Earth Hour we have guest speakers, Assemblyman John McKeon, Mila Jacey, Sierra Club, students from Roosevelt, Liberty, and the high school to present their science projects and inventions. And we couldn't ask for a better backdrop than the Thomas Edison National Historic Park to present all of these new inventions and ideas. There's a big sign that stands there in the Edison lab that says, Edison's quote, that all you need is a pile of junk and a good imagination for inventions. So leave it to the students to come up with things. So that really kicks off the actual global event, which is annually on this last Saturday in March 28th this year, where 180 countries and millions of people around the world turn off their lights from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30, non-essential lights. And from the view we have here, this panoramic view of the city, you can actually see the lights going out in the city. But that happens globally. If you go to the website, earthhour.org, you can see a satellite picture of the Earth going dark in an effort to raise awareness on energy conservation and conserving the planet. So our event is next Wednesday, March 11th at 4:30 at the Thomas Edison National Historic Park. It's free, open to the public. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Kukoviac.
Thank you, Council President. Very quickly, the Open Space and Recreation Committee is meeting tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, here in Conference Room 109, and we'll be probably discussing Earth Day activities. That Earth Day is scheduled for Wednesday, April 22nd. The West Orange Historic Preservation Commission is meeting next Tuesday. It's a little bit unusual timing. It's next Tuesday, March 10th, also in Conference Room 109, and all are welcome. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman. Before I get started with my announcements, I wanted for us just to take a moment of silence and pay our respect to one of our longtime residents and World War II veteran, decorated veteran, Sonny Ciamello. Mr. Ciamello was just a joyful resident. He was always such a pleasure to speak with. God bless him, 98 years old. He's part of the greatest generation, and it's just so sad when we lose someone of that stature. But God bless him, a great family, long time resident. And I know Joe Fagan, if he was here this evening, would have liked to say a few words. I'm sure he may. I'm sure we'll see a banner for him as one of our hometown heroes.
Navy vet.
Navy vet. Thank you, Councilman.
40-year employee.
And yes, and an employee for 40 years. 50. So 50. Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. So we just want to say a moment of silence, and also our Deputy Chief, John Buey, his father-in-law, and beloved Buddy Ciamello up at the high school, West Orange High School, his dad. So let's bow our heads for a few moments for Mr. Ciamello. Thank you all. Few quick announcements. This Thursday, March 5th, Irish flag raising, first time here in the township, 6 p.m. Town Hall. And then after that, you could go celebrate the luck of the Irish and support the Friends of the West Orange Public Library, eating at Oak Barrel Pub. And if you can't make it for dinner, go for lunch. 15% of the proceeds go to the Friends group. March 15th, of course, is the parade, so look for notices of road closures and come down to celebrate. This past Friday night, unfortunately, I couldn't make it because I was sick, and I was so upset because I went to the Unico and the Wounded Warriors were present, and just God bless them. They're just amazing stories from those gentlemen and how they keep our country safe. But our West Orange firefighters were up to the task, and they played them in a hockey game this past Friday night, and all the proceeds went to the Wounded Warriors. So we thank you once again for our firefighters coming out to serve our community, and our police officers too. My apologies. And they won, and they won. See, I wasn't there. See, one of you who was there should have spoken up.
I forgot about that.
I just want to give a shout out. We have a Realtor open house, March 23rd. All Realtors that are watching this on TV, if you didn't get a notice yet, please come visit us at Liberty Middle School from 9 to 11 a.m. That Monday morning on the 23rd. The mayor and the superintendent of schools will be present to answer all questions and give a presentation about our wonderful township, so you can inform any newcomers to West Orange. Restaurant Week. We're going to start promoting Restaurant Week. Many of our restaurants have already signed up. They are all going to be presenting a prefix menu, a majority of them for $20.20. So we're excited about that. The participation is great. I mean, we're getting a lot of our good restaurants. So Ms. Brill and our team will be posting that on the Downtown West Orange website. But it is a townwide event. So it's a partnership between the Public Relations Commission, our Downtown Alliance, and our West Orange Chamber of Commerce. So between all three groups, we're working hard to get a great restaurant week. And it's not just about us here in West Orange coming to eat and supporting the local businesses, which we all should. Especially I'm going to reach out to those in our school district. So many times our restaurants are very generous with giving out gift certificates for all, not even just with the schools, but with all of our community groups. They've been very, very generous and being participants in all these groups trying to raise money. So let's all pitch and help them out, and also to bring our families that live out of town into town and get to know our restaurants. So we really want to make sure we get people from out of town in town to support our restaurants this time around, and we're going to be heavy promotion. So we appreciate all those who are participating. And just real quick, those of you who are looking to play golf, Rock Spring Golf Course is open. You could take advantage of our reduced winter rates for the next couple weeks. And for all those Recreation Department, please look on their website. A lot of the spring programs are coming available, and to sign up using your community pass. And with that, Madam Clerk, I'd like to move forward to the public meeting.
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on October 31st, 2019, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on November 7th, 2019. Councilman Guarino?
Oh, present.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Present.
Councilwoman Toots Brown?
Present.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Present.
Council President Castellino.
Present.
Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The council is now in their public meeting.
Okay, I'm going to invite members of the public, if they would like to address the council, to please come up to the podium, speak into the microphone, and please state your name and your address. You will have 5 minutes that Madam Clerk will time you, and after everyone speaks, then the council will respond. Mr. Scott.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Brent Scott. I live at 75 Nestro Road here in West Orange. I'm here today to advise everyone that the West Orange African Heritage Organization will hold its general meeting on Wednesday, March 18th at 6:30 p.m. in the Media Center and Library at West Orange High School. That's the 51 Conforty Street entrance. Our guest speaker will be the Council's own Cindy Matute Brown, West Orange Board of Education member Terry Trigg Scales, and Felicia Ellerby, a surgical oncology RN with Memorial Sloan Kettering. Nurse Ellerby will address health matters, including the coronavirus. Again, the meeting of the West Orange, the general meeting of the West Orange African Heritage Organization will be held on Wednesday, March 18th at 6:30 p.m. in the West Orange High School, Media Center and Library, 51st Conforty Street entrance. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Karen Mengden for the 9 Undercliff Terrace.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your address? I didn't get that.
9 Undercliff Terrace.
Thank you.
I am here on behalf of the library and just wanted to tell you a few things that are going on this month, but I also wanted to reiterate the fundraiser at the Oak Barrel on Thursday for the Friends of the Library. Here's what I have. For adults, Rutgers will be providing free colon cancer screening Thursday, March 19th from 6 to 8 p.m. For teens, there's an open mic night celebrating the work of women Thursday, March 5th from 7 to 8 p.m. Kids come to the library for crafts and fun. We celebrate New Jersey Makers Day, Friday, March 20th from 4 to 5 p.m. and Saturday from 10 to 10:30 a.m. And my favorite activity, the West Orange Elementary School's art reception will be Wednesday, March 11th from 5:30 to 6:30.
Fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, what's your last name again?
Mengden, it's M-E-N-G-D-E-N.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, esteemed council. Kabir Myers, 157 Marion Drive. I wanted to bring to the council's attention that I was recently on the webpage of our state's Division of Fish and Wildlife, and I read an informational entitled 2019 Migratory Bird Season Information and Population Status. And what struck me about that information was this language here. After a period of population stability, and this is about Canada geese, after a period of population stability dating back to the early 2000s, the breeding population has declined for the past 3 consecutive years, culminating in an 18-year low of 112,000 breeding pairs in 2018. Poor gosling production due to chronically late Arctic springs appears to be driving the population decline. Gosling production has been below average for the past 7 to 10 years. For 7 of the past 10 years, with 2018 being an unprecedentedly poor year. Okay, there's more, but I'll stop there. So this data leads me to question the necessity of the goose control contract set for approval pursuant to Resolution 40-20 on today's agenda. Why is this contract necessary given the statistics that I just mentioned? More importantly, why is the removal/disposal language necessary given the decline in breeding, which I just mentioned? Now, I know that West Orange has had a contractual relationship with this vendor for over 15 years, but I would ask that this contract not be approved on autopilot mode. At the very least, I would ask that the disposal/removal language be removed, especially, like I said, given the decline. I think that there are more non-lethal methods that could be utilized to control the goose population, the geese population here in the township. I would ask that if this contract does go through, once again, that language about killing the geese be deleted, and that once this contract does get underway, if it does, and I'm assuming that it will, that more emphasis be placed on non-lethal methods of managing the geese. For example, there's language in here about treating the eggs. There's also some other methods. Perhaps we can put up signs if they're not already, in abundance, about not feeding the geese. That's another way to reduce the population. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening? Mr. Puglisi.
Hi, Anthony Puglisi, representing County Executive Joe DiVincenzo. Councilwoman Matute Brown had mentioned the grant that the county is providing to the township for $10,000 for census activities. One of the things that we want to get across at this time of year, especially with the census coming up, is how important it is for everyone to be counted, and that's really the goal of that grant. It was to reach out to hard-to-count populations and make sure that a full count is achieved. As everyone knows, the census is important because that's how our federal funding is based, and also how our congressional numbers that we get per state. And 10 years ago, we actually lost one congressional seat. So working with our municipal partners, nonprofit partners, clergy, we just want to get the word out, make sure that everyone, if they get something in the mail, they don't ignore it. They participate. This year you can do the census online, by old snail mail, and also by phone. So any information that you can get out and encourage people to participate, that's really what we're trying to do. And with that grant, we hope that's helpful for everybody. There was the mention of the Woodland Avenue traffic signal, and I think all of us here know that when changes are requested for any kind of traffic, like to be redundant, any kind of traffic change, things don't happen overnight. You just can't look at an intersection and say, we're going to do this. There has to be a study. There has to be warrants. You have to meet certain warrants. So when I saw the exchange of emails going around the last couple of days, I did have a conversation with our engineering department. And we are in the process of studying that intersection. We also have already applied to the NJTPA for funding. So when our design is complete, the funding would be in place. Again, that's not going to happen overnight. It is going to take some time. From what they've told us, from what my engineering department had mentioned today, right now that intersection doesn't meet all the criteria, so that it's low on the funding list. So that's part of the design and the study that goes into that intersection, so that we can delve deeper and see what can be done to raise its status so that it becomes eligible for money. We've always tried to be a partner with the township on whatever kind of projects to do, especially along Pleasant Valley Way, to calm the traffic and all that. So again, we want to be helpful. I understand that some of those emails were a little testy, and sometimes people don't have some tact from both sides, from the county side and from the public. But I just wanted to kind of put that out there, that it is on our radar. It is something that is in the works. And again, just to reiterate, it's not going to happen overnight, but just know that it's in the pipeline.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Puglisi.
Thank you.
Oh, and just one more thing. We're about a month away from cherry blossom season, so the weather has been warm. Just in about 32 days, we're going to have hopefully the trees will be in bloom, and spring will be here.
Very good.
Countdown.
Thank you. I want to thank you also for responding to me, Mr. Puglisi, today in regards to public service on Pleasant Valley Way. They had chopped up a lot of trees and left them there, and I know you've been constantly calling them. So again, unfortunately, things don't move as fast as we all would like for them to move, but it will get done. But thank you for following up with that as well. Would anyone else like to address the public this evening?
Good evening, Michael Cassidy, President, West Orange Superior Officers Association, 1 Cary Street, West Orange. First, I'd like to thank Councilwoman Matute Brown for coming and taking a look at our police building, seeing our fleet, which is on life support. And it was good to see somebody actually come out and take a look at that. I think when we're looking at redevelopment, things like that, we should really look at everything that might come down in the future. Library would have been a great place to re-put the police department, and maybe look at building the senior complex on the lot next to there. We really got to start looking at these further at the before we make rush decisions to get redevelopment done. Secondly, I want to thank Mayor Robert, I forget his name, but from Montclair Township, Jackson, for working with the PBA, showing a commitment to law enforcement and settling from 2019 through 2024 for a total of 18% with no givebacks in medical. The next thing I want to bring up is, I know some of you might have heard about the Chapter 330 benefits. We do have a letter from the state stating that the township is not eligible for Chapter 330 benefits, which also means that officers who retire, if benefits are given up, like the fire SOA, their members will not receive any sort of medical benefits under Chapter 330. They're ineligible. We have that letter from the state. You had not to have benefits at that time. As you realize, 4 more people have retired from the police department. We're down to 91 officers. 2 more are scheduled to go by May 1st. It's going to be awfully difficult to recruit and retain officers if we do not make changes. I'm asking the council to support a resolution and bring forth a resolution to state that they support retiree health benefits for public safety workers. As you saw what happened in 280 in the blink of an eye, this is what happens when public safety workers are out there, firefighters, police officers. If you don't take care of them, are they going to want to take care of the residents? Officers are looking to leave now. The township denied a lateral transfer. They stated that they didn't want to hire people that were on the list in the 70s. Well, who do you think is going to take this job? Once this list comes out, I'm told that upwards of 5 to 10 of our officers took the civil service test. They do not want to be police officers in the township anymore. You're showing that you do not have a commitment to law enforcement. You do not care about the people who work here. It's clear and clear. We need you, the council, to step up and say you want your employees treated right, treated fairly. We are not asking for 18%. We're not. We're asking for small raises and also that retirement benefits for public safety workers. It's very important. There's diseases that don't rear their head until 5, 10 years after an officer retires. I'm really asking, will the council support a resolution asking the township to pursue medical benefits and not make members have to choose between themselves and the new hires? If you do that, it is going to be a disaster. 89 members and counting. Who is going to work here? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the council? Okay, with that being said, we're going to close public comment. And Mr. Sayers or Mr. Gross, in regards to the contract with the geese population, I mean, I see them up there at the high school. I know that each year, especially when I sat on the school board, it's been an issue. There's been a reevaluation of that this year? Because
it's always been an issue, not just with the school, but with the residents who live in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that's why we've continued to do it. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think we kill the geese. We remove them.
Remove the eggs,
Yeah.
right?
And paddle the eggs.
Right, right. Yeah, and we coat the eggs, is what we do. But that's what we've been doing for years because the neighborhood doesn't want them running around. What happens is they run on their lawns and
And the problem at Degnan Park, Ms. Myers, just so
Yeah.
you know, this isn't just something that, and OSPAC was a big, that's right, thank you, Councilwoman. OSPAC was a big issue last
Yep.
year where Public Works had to go in for them to open up. So it's an issue. It's not that we're not animal friendly. It's not that we don't look at it each year. It's there. I mean, Councilwoman and I were there last spring walking the grounds at OSPAC, and it was all over the place. So it's evident that they are a multitude and abundance and all the fields. So it's been a problem for years, And again, I don't know what you do on your end, Mr. Sayers, but if you could, I mean, you reevaluate it, in regards to putting it on the agenda, you reevaluate it every year, I would assume. You just don't throw it on the agenda.
Yeah, no. I mean, like I said, we get a lot of complaints, especially during the spring and summertime, from people who live in that area by Degnan Field. And then, like you said, we had a lot of complaints this year, not complaints, but we had a lot of problems up at OSPAC this year, too.
And I'd say it does not go on, it does not go on autopilot. I think that the health department reviews this every year. They review the concerns and the needs, and then puts forth a request for a contract.
Okay. I just want to see if I have anything else for administration this evening. I think Mr. No, we'll stay on. I just want to see something else. Okay. Councilman Kukoviac?
Just wanted to follow up on this. Mr. Sayers is correct. The contract is to addle the eggs, which is considered to be, I know it's ironic to call it humanitarian, but it is the most humanitarian way to control the population. There are actually two types of Canada geese. There are resident geese who no longer migrate, and they stay year-round and below Canada and can cause a great deal of problems year-round. And that's the population that this contract targets. Separately, you have migratory geese that come through during a more limited migration period and just blanket certain areas in town that have bodies of water, because that's what the migratory geese prefer. So you have a situation here where our contract is for the resident geese, and according to all of the statistics that we keep, that population has been kept relatively low. But the problem you have is when the migratory geese come here, we've got bodies of water here that they love, and you get literally thousands of geese messing up the area. And there's not nearly as easy way to address that than the resident geese.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman?
Thank you. I wanted to add to that also, from the comments that were just made, that municipalities that surround us have something called bark police, where dogs chase the geese away. And then since West Orange has 17 bodies of water, it's nice inviting for them to come here. So we do addle the eggs, just so we're not killing. That's not part of the contract. And we also have ordinance already in place that people are not allowed to feed animals. So you mentioned that too, about putting up more signs, and maybe we do need more signage about that, but just to confirm that we're not killing the geese. It is a contract to control population.
Councilwoman, you have any other comments this evening? I'm just going to go right down the line while you have the,
sure.
while you have the microphone.
Brent, thank you for the announcement about the LMC. Karen Megnan is still here. Thank you. Lots going on at the library. I wanted to, what was not on the list was a Super Smash tournament, which has become so popular. I was just so surprised. Happened to be in the library on a Wednesday evening, and there were so many kids of all ages with these brackets. It was almost like March Madness. So that is going to continue. It was great to watch. Anthony, thank you for the information. Thank you for the grant for the census. And I guess if there is something that we can just start promoting, maybe that's what's coming up next at our next meeting, that people need to know that their responses, I'm reading from your card, that the responses are 100% confidential when they do enter their information. Help ensure your community gets its fair share of funding, as you said, from federal funding, and for everyone to visit 2020 census.gov for more information on how to register. I'm not sure how to respond to Michael Cassidy. This just seems like we need to be in executive session to get an update on where we are with the contract. comments made about Woodland Avenue. My husband happens to be the crossing guard on the corner of Woodland and Pleasant Valley Way. He sees quite a few infractions there. He had met with the chief a couple years back to ask if he could wear a body cam because there were so many right on reds and people just flying through the lights on that particular corner. So if that is something that the county can look at, move it up that priority list, I think it would be very important for that corner. Thank you for taking the consideration.
Okay, Councilwoman?
Thank you. Brent, thank you for always coming to give us an update of what WOHO is doing. I feel that we don't have enough of that, and that could be for a number of reasons, but it is a wonderful organization. We have a great time for a great cause, and I'm hoping that more of the community members, with your raising its awareness, will come join us. And I'm going to take a side note to that also to say that we are a very diverse community. However, when we're in these rooms, there is no diversity, so I'm inviting everyone, whether you are a member of the West Orange African Heritage Organization or not, please join us. It is really a good time that we have, again, to raise funds for scholarships, but also to raise awareness, which is why we have the general meeting. So please be sure to come out and join us. Thank you, Karen, for coming out with respect to what's happening at the library. I did see the notice for the Smash, and I thought that that was a great event for the kids. Unfortunately, I didn't make it on time, but I thought that was really exciting for them to associate the library not just with reading. You know, some of us love to read, some may not associate fun times with the library, but that's really a great way to bring kids into the library. And then the colon screening, that's something that we should also share because I think it just helps us have greater access, right, to those who can't. So thank you for sharing that information as well. Ms. Myers, I too did look up what we were doing, and I went on the state's webpage. I saw some communities who approved it, then disavowed, but then had to go back. I read about the dogs that chase and bark, and I thought, wow, that's pretty inhumane as well, because I can't imagine, you know, I would just imagine that fear or that anxiety can't be healthy either. I was satisfied when I read that it is the egg addling that happens, that it's not just a carte blanche contract, that there is an application that has to be processed. But also my concern, and when we're looking at so many viruses as we are faced with presently, you know, birds do, and those who are migratory do carry a lot of diseases. And, you know, some of the fields in West Orange, they're impossible to walk on. And when we were at OSPAC or even at Degnan Field, I think asking our, you know, volunteers or someone else to come out, and it's an impossible task to clean that up. So I think that it is a very conscientious way to limit, you know, the impact of what the Canadian geese bring with them, or unfortunately behind in most cases. So I didn't think that we would be passing this just on autopilot. I think at least for, and listening to all my council colleagues, clearly they've you know, done the research and are speaking from a point of being informed. Mr. Puglisi, again, thank you so much for tolerating the several emails between Mr. Sayers and myself and you. $10,000 will go a long way to raise awareness in those hard to count areas. We're very excited. Please look out for the information for the next meeting because we need all hands on deck. These federal funds pay from everything from pre-care programs, right, pre-K programs to SNAP to Section 8, and I want to start having this conversation as well in an effort to reset the tone when we say Section 8. I know that there is a very negative connotation that is applied, but Section 8 also is used and afforded to, you know, our veterans as well, our senior citizens, our students who come home and unfortunately from college are saddled with loans and can't afford to live on their own, and we know how expensive rents are. So let's have that conversation, let's continue that conversation, and please let's be sure to keep everyone counted during this census season. And Michael Cassidy, thank you for coming out. I've got to tell you, as someone who is a labor supporter, not ever shy to say so, it is incredibly difficult to stand up, to speak up on behalf of your members. I know because I've been there. I've done that. I 100% support the fact that we need to make sure that our first responders are taken care of. I've never agreed with the administration in not providing retiree benefits, health benefits to our first responders. To me, it was an outrage when I heard it. I'm still outraged by it. And I'm really, and I agree with my council colleague, we need to speak about this contract because here we are going on budget 2 since I've been elected and no contract. So I appreciate you raising that awareness. I do support that we provide retiree health benefits for our members. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Carino?
Thank you, Council President. Mr. Scott, thank you. You know, it's always good to get new information, new events with your organization, because people need to know. And people can't say, well, they didn't know because you didn't tell them, but you told us. So it's good. Thank you. Karen, with the library, it's very important. People don't talk to each other anymore. Everybody spends time on their phones. Nobody gets out and looks at hard copy. Nobody gets out and communicates. Nobody gets out and socializes. The library is a great place to bring that all back together. And I'm glad the library is moving forward with a lot of its programs. It's very important, particularly for the youth of our community, because they're the ones that need it the most. And we appreciate what the library does to us. The town is judged on its library, and we can be highly judged on our township by our library. So thank you very much. Mr. Puglisi, the comment wasn't, made to, the county has always been a great partner to the Township of West Orange, particularly with pedestrian safety, particularly with the project on Alyssa Drive, which was a major undertaking. The reason why I brought it up tonight is that most people, they don't look at Facebook and they don't look at the emails that you said that were coming through. And I wanted the residents to know that the county and the township are addressing it, and we're working hand in hand to get the issue addressed, whatever can be done. And I know that the county has gone forward looking at study of what needs to be done at that traffic light. So my comments were not brought up said that you're not doing anything. It's that I want the rest of the residents to know that that's being done. It's not being ignored. And we appreciate that very, very, very much. With the goose population, I have to ask a question. Do we have stats, other than what Ms. Meyer said, do we have any township stats that say the volume of goose and geese that are on our fields? And, and that would be great to know.
I don't believe so.
Yes, you've given them before. Yeah.
I have to
check
talk
with
with
the
the health
health department.
department about that, to be quite honest with you. Like I said, our statistics are based on citizen complaints, at least out of my office. I'm not sure about the health department.
And probably field coverage. The fields, when they're covered in every area.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be some kind of mechanism. That's
Yeah,
right.
No, I see it too, and plus I get it from Mountaintop and from the people that use the fields and all that. So I was just wondering, Okay.
The contractor for the resident geese does provide statistics annually. But maybe that's not what you're asking. Maybe you're asking for the migratory geese.
The overall.
There's literally thousands of them when they're migrating.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Oh, Council President, I just have to make a comment.
Are you done? Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Getting back to, pedestrian safety and the county's involvement and all that. The one thing is, the township just got a $10,000 in-kind grant to do walkability for Washington and Edison District for our safe routes to school. Also, too, that we're also planning through, we're going to be reaching out to Mr. Puglisi and get the county's assistant to do another town-wide Complete Streets meeting. And what we're looking at is Complete Streets, where it was, where it's at, and where we're going. So I just wanted to bring it up. That's the cooperation that we get from the county and its involvement, and the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board. Thank you, Council President.
Great, thank you, Councilman. Councilman Kukoviac?
Mr. Cassidy, thanks very much for giving us an update. Perhaps we can discuss this resolution that he suggested during matters pending. But I am concerned that we're down to 91 officers and are going to go down another 2. I don't think we've been this low in maybe a decade, somewhere around there. Is that a concern for the administration? Because I understand even if we hire police, it generally takes about a year for them to actually be able to work
Well, they have to go
regular
through,
shifts.
They have to go through training and everything else. It's a little less than a year, but I think at one time we were down to actually 89, at least since I've been here. But we are working diligently on doing what we need to do now. You'll see when we present our new budget.
Okay.
And I think you also have to keep in mind, I think it's 4 or maybe 5, I think it's 4, retired as of this week.
Yeah, this week.
So it's not, we have not, good number of them are just now retired, so the vacancy is just now open. So we'll, go through the process.
And we added them all in our budget. So when you get the budget, you'll see that.
Okay. I also understand that we still have not finalized the contract with the fire unions. Is that correct?
We sent a new proposal out to them last week.
Okay.
I can't really discuss.
That's fine, and I know it's delicate, we don't want to get involved with negotiations, but I just recall that maybe 3 or 4 months ago, the council majority approved, I guess what is it, memorandum of agreement, or I can't remember the terminology, but...
It's a proposal.
A proposal.
Correct.
So, and then you just said that you sent them another proposal just recently.
Yes, because they actually, my understanding is they actually voted on that proposal but never sent it back to us, and then they sent us a counter proposal.
Oh, so the negotiations aren't over, that you're
No.
they're still negotiating?
Correct.
Okay. But the other 3 unions?
The only,
Is it 5 unions?
we've settled 5, and there's 3 left, 2
Okay.
police and 1 fire.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, thank you, all the speakers for coming down, Mr. Scott and Ms. Meignan. I want to touch base on the library. I know we mentioned it, all of us this evening, but the programming that's just, you're cranking out of there has been amazing. Sitting on the senior committee with Ms. Van Dyke and Ms. Saunders and Ms. Perez, it's just been unbelievable. Every time I go to a meeting, Brian is doing an awesome job, and the creativity of the different events that are coming out of these meetings has been amazing, and the collaboration is really such a benefit for our community and our seniors. Just so folks know, on the township website as well, all these events are posted. If you look under Senior Livabilities Initiative, we have been working on a name, so we're going to have a little shorter, catchy catchphrase name for our Aging in Place Initiative, which hopefully we'll be unveiling soon. But thank you for all the hard work and for the board. It's a very exciting time. And I address the other items. Mike, tonight I have already for pending matters, we have a budget timeline and have a talk about to go into close for negotiations with Mr. Sayers. So that was already on my own personal agenda for the council this evening. We hope these negotiations get done soon. I know I've been in contact with Mr. Sayers and the mayor. It's very heartbreaking that it's not done. I know it's stressful and morale is low. I know when my colleague, Councilwoman, walked into your police station later that day, I received 3 phone calls when I was coming for a visit.
I think everyone should go for a visit.
Well, in fairness, and as I told my friends there, my mother-in-law worked in that building for 34 years, so I know the building, and I know its challenges, and I know it needs updates. But as every budget season approaches, I hope our leaders are going up the ranks to our police chief and our fire chief and letting them know what's needed for your constituents. I know since I've been on the council, 10 new vehicles. I know about the fleet, and we have we've been very proactive. 6 additional vehicles. Some of them were refab the past year. So we've been very proactive in making sure that you're driving around in safe vehicles. And same thing with our firefighters, 2 new engines in the past couple years. Again, that doesn't comfort you when we also approve safety equipment, all that. I mean, that's a comfort, but you need to get this negotiation over and done with. And I hope that comes sooner than later. But Mr. Sayers, we will go into executive session this evening. I have a feeling, we'll have the votes for that. So when we get to pending matters, I'll ask my colleagues for a motion. So you could update everyone else, because I know I've been keeping in contact with you. But thank you everyone else for coming down tonight. We have a long agenda, a lot of our yearly contracts that many of us have sat and reviewed for many hours. We just don't approve these things on automatic pilot. We do spend a lot of time. It's a very long weekend. And in fact, all of our contracts aren't here this evening. There's some more coming next meeting. And legal has more coming to us, but we wanted to get started with these because they're a couple weeks behind in our yearly process. So with that, Madam Clerk, I will close out this portion of the meeting, and we will go to consent agenda.
Okay. Approval of minutes of previous meeting, public meeting, February 18th, 2020.
Consent.
Report of township officers, none. Reading of petitions and communications and bids, none. Bills, are there any questions on the bills?
Consent.
Resolutions.
Okay, so we have a very healthy agenda this evening, to say the least. It's about 5 pages long, so I was talking to Madam Clerk today, the best way to tackle this so it's not confusing. We have, double letters, it's extensive. So what I like to do first, if my colleagues don't object, I like to take it in pieces, be a little more organized with it. And so I like first us to look at items A through J. And the reason I'm doing this, I'm going to take out everything that's not a professional service, and we'll go over questions and see what will be pulled. So the first part, I'm going to ask you to look at items A through J. I want to just make a comment before I go down the line here, but I want to thank Mr. Gross and Mr. Lepore. We've been working on these contracts to upgrade our facilities at for our fire stations. And on tonight for letter G, we have new roofs at fire headquarters, fire station number 2, and also for our municipal building. So I'm glad to see that. Bathrooms are coming, but for tonight we have the roofs for the architectural services, and that is 46-20. I just wanted to share that with the public. We had mentioned earlier in the evening, letter H, our permission to use 10 Rooney Circle for the next 20 years, endorsing the grant application for the New Jersey Library Construction Bond Act. So we're very happy about that, to get that project moved forward. And letter I, resolution authorizing reimbursement costs for private garbage collection is for Essex Green Villas and 300 to 306 Main Street. Do any of my colleagues, Councilman Krokoviac, we'll start on your side right now. Do you have anything here that you either have a question or like to be pulled in this grouping?
I have one of each, 40-20.
Okay.
The resolution for goose control technology, and I just had a few questions about 4120.
Is that a pull?
Yes.
Okay. 4120 question? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman McCartney?
No.
Okay, Councilwoman Clement-Brown. Anything from A to J?
Just wanted to, I am going to pull C,
C?
just to
Sure.
discuss, and B and C, actually.
And pulled B, okay.
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
We're only talking A to J,
A through J?
no,
Okay, you're good.
it's already been
Okay.
pulled, so.
Okay, next, I'm going to ask you to skip over K, and we're going to go to letters AA Madam Clerk knows where we're going here. We're going to letters AA through C, the first three on page 4. We have a couple resolutions there. I'm going to ask to pull resolution H, which is the Ring Central, so Mr. Gross could tell us about that. And any questions or anything would like to be pulled for those few resolutions about a couple settlements? You all good?
I had a couple of questions for D and.
We're not going there yet.
Where are
This is
you?
just A, double B, double C.
Hold on.
Double A, double B, double C.
No.
No? Okay. Okay. So, Madam Clerk, now we are going to, we have a question on B. Councilman Kukoviac, your question for letter B, 41-20.
Yes, thank you. This is a proposed settlement of a tax appeal for the Pleasantdale Chateau and catering facility on Eagle Rock Avenue. I had a bit of difficulty understanding what was going on, but I did want to ask about this because it's a significant cut in the assessment and thus a significant cut in our annual property taxes. And I just wanted, if Mr. Gross, if you can, tell us why there's such a significant cut. It's like 23.5% of the assessed value from 17 million to 13 million, if I have that correct.
Yeah.
I know you don't want to talk about strategy, but
I'm not going to talk about strategy, but the bottom line is any tax appeal is the property owner believed that their property was overassessed after going through a process with the tax courts and dealing with and looking at all the facts. We've come to a conclusion where indeed this particular property was overassessed, and you look before you, what you have before you tonight is the culmination of that, the settlement of that matter. So, commercial, it's particularly unique. It is a unique commercial property. Commercial properties, by definition, it's not, they're not traded like a residential home is. So there's not a market that you can go to pin down the values as carefully as perhaps you can with residential properties. It's done based on profit and loss statements and potential profit and loss of an industry. So this is a very narrow industry, and frankly, it's an industry that's having difficulties. And this is, at the end of the day, this is what our professionals and the courts and the property owner agree to what this is worth.
okay. So I can understand that. I'm also interested because the Pleasantdale Chateau has been appearing before the Historic Preservation Commission because they are doing a significant amount of work to improve the facility and to make it more attractive and to be able to generate more business. That's sort of my issue. If we're cutting out like a quarter of the, not a quarter, but almost a quarter of the assessment, and we're agreed that it's overassessed, what they're trying to do is actually expand the business.
And once they do that, then we can,
Okay.
they're gonna go through and
Yeah.
gonna get, permits, and the permitting process allows us to go back to what they're doing and make a reevaluation of the value.
Okay, thank you.
Now, Councilman, do you want that pulled, or you had
No,
a
no,
question?
I just had a
Okay.
question. I wanted to pull 40-20.
Yeah,
Okay.
Councilwoman Matute Brown pulled that, 4120.
Okay, so Councilwoman, do you want to keep that
Oh,
pulled, or do you
no.
have any more questions on it?
No, he answered all the questions. Thank you.
Okay, so we got A pulled, C. Councilman? You pulled
Not-
42-20? Who pulled 40?
No, I pulled 40.
Councilwoman Matute Brown.
Okay, Councilwoman, my apologies.
Yeah, I just wanted to just have Mr. Gross just talk about this actual resolution, just for clarification and information for the residents. I know that I'd asked some questions with respect to the change in the rate and what happens when there is a reassessment conducted. Can you just, for the
Sure.
benefit of the public?
Yeah, this particular resolution is such that it's a multiple-year resolution, and the settlement is over multiple years. So each year stands on its own. Each year has its own unique tax rate, whatever the tax rate every taxpayer paid for that particular year. Whenever there's a change of assessment, that is the rate that's used to calculate the reimbursement or the credit that's going to be applied. In terms of any future revaluations do not reach backward from the date to which they're done. So when a reval is done in whatever year it becomes effective, it's from that point forward, not backward. So it'll have no impact on this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so you want that pulled, or no, you're good? Okay. So right now I have A, in that section. And was there a question? Councilwoman, did you have any other question? Councilwoman Matute Brown, were you from AA, WB, CC?
No, I did not.
Okay. All right, great. Mr. Gross, can you please explain to us Resolution 7320, the new telecommunication service?
Yes.
Now we're going into the cloud.
Yes. We almost 10 years ago, the township installed a new telephone system, and within the last 2 years, that particular system has become obsolete and no longer serviced by any of the companies that do business in this area. In fact, if we needed parts, some parts, we would have to go onto eBay in order to replace them. So we went about the business, and we went about looking as to what to do and how to move forward and replace the system with one that is, number one, reliable, number two, provides the services that a modern system would provide, including faxing and call recording, really top-notch technology. And we put out a proposal. We got 4 responses, all good responses. 2 of them in particular were excellent and came down and made a decision, a recommendation. On top of having a good phone system, a great phone system, we hope, from this, we're also going to see savings and enhancement to our connectivity. Our internet service providers that we have now, we have some redundancy, but it's frankly not good redundancy. From this, we will end up with 2 full-service lines from 2 different companies that will provide us redundancy should we have issues in the future with not just our phone system, but with our entire computer network. And on top of that, we'll be saving township tax dollars, significant amounts. It will allow us to eliminate probably at least half of what are called POTS lines, which are plain old telephone service. And so I think, I sent out an analysis for you to take a look at it, and I think you'll see that the services that we're recommending are excellent, and at a cost of definitely half of what we're paying to date.
Nice.
So.
Mm-hmm. And the revised, Council President, the revised resolution that was in our package shows that.
Yeah, we looked at the resolution, we thought that we wanted to put
Spell it
some more
out.
whereas in there because to be more explicit. This was such an important process for us and an important improvement for the township.
And thank you, Mr. Gross, for bringing us back from the technically challenged position that
From
we
eBay.
usually
From
are
eBay.
in. Okay, so does anyone want that resolution pulled? Is everybody good with that one? Okay. All right, so right now we just have Resolution A pulled, and we're going to go to, start off with letter K. We're going to start with these professional service agreements with letter K. They run throughout the rest of the agenda, except for the items that we already mentioned. These are yearly contracts. I had asked Mr. Gross, and then Councilman Kukoviac did as well, to let us know what changes we have in pricing and with vendors. So we had, I believe, one vendor change with the planning board attorney. We also had a couple price changes. We had an increase with the planner. Did everyone get that paperwork? $10 increase in some other fees. I'll pass this around if anybody wants to see it. Now, Councilman, this came right from your email, so I know you have a copy of this. Also, NW Financial too was a slight increase, a couple dollars. I'll pass down this so my colleagues could see. And let's see.
The last one's our auditor.
The auditor. Do you want to explain?
It was a $1,000 increase for the auditor.
Okay. In regards to the service contracts, what is the process, Mr. Gross and Mr. Sayers, in regards working with the mayor, determining who gets renewed and who doesn't? And
Every year we send out a request for qualifications, and those responses are evaluated and recommendations are made based on that. It's part of the statutory requirements in order to solicit proposal or qualifications, and it's something that it's not a process that we've made up. It's statutorily dictated.
the one vendor I wanted to get on the agenda for this evening, and the mayor didn't have it finalized, is to go back to a big hot topic discussion we had last year in our budget hearings, and that was for an economic developer consultant. Last year, we had put into the budget money towards planner/economic developer consultant, and that didn't get too far in the summer months. So I know myself, Councilwoman, and my fellow councilwomen have been bringing forth some names to the mayor, and the mayor has looked into those references and will be making a decision and bringing us a consultant by the next council meeting. So that will be happening. I know there's concern in regards to downtown planning, all these new redevelopment projects out there, and he will be bringing someone to kind of, connect the dots through the township. So we look forward to that discussion next meeting. Unfortunately, that couldn't be done for this meeting. That being said, with all that information, Councilman Guarino, any questions on any other of these items or anything you would like to see pulled?
I have a question on Resolution 5120. Is that part of our...
5120, okay,
Yes.
so that's question, okay.
Right, I have a question.
Does anybody want that pulled? No. Okay, any other questions, Councilman, or
No.
anything pulled? Okay, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Councilwoman Tu Brown?
Just pulling, is that item P, which is the planning board? Had you pulled that already?
Okay, item
55
P is...
5520.
5820,
No,
item S.
55.
Oh, I'm sorry, the
55.
attorney,
I'm
okay,
moving.
5520. You want it pulled?
Yes,
Pulled? Okay.
yes, I'd like to discuss that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman McCartney?
No.
And Councilman Kukoviac.
Please, let's pull agenda item S, Resolution 5820, agenda item T, Resolution 5920. And then I wasn't sure whether we were going down to
Yeah, the whole thing.
the
Yeah,
double Ds?
yeah,
Okay.
go to the end.
6920.
That's okay, I'll come back. Okay.
6920, 7020.
Wait, 7020, that's double E. So just so everybody knows, double D, double E,
7120,
okay?
7620,
Okay? You're good?
yes, I thought there was another one on here.
Okay, while you're thinking, Councilwoman
No, I've
Matera?
already pulled that, okay.
Okay, you're good?
I'm good.
Yeah, he pulled them.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, great. All right, so let's do first, question, Councilman Guarino, on 5120 CME Associates.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Council President. Mr. Sayers and Mr. Gross, with CME Engineering, this contract to do engineering services and support. Basically, one, who is it supporting? That's the first question underlying. What area is this supporting? And secondly of all, the cost for this, is it a savings to payroll and what we would get? Or basically, and when you answer my question, I can further answer. So answer the first part. What department
This
area is this supporting?
This is primarily, this particular resolution is primarily supporting the planning board and the zoning board in terms of their activity. This is being paid for by escrow funds.
No, and that's fine. That's what the maker doesn't say this in here, but I'm saying this is for the consulting services for the planning board and the zoning board, which are paid for by the fees. That's fine. Okay, because it wasn't laid out, and I just want to make sure it wasn't doing one of our departments in engineering that, you know, and that's what I wanted to know about.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good, so you don't need a poll then?
Nope.
Okay, so that, we're leaving that on the agenda, on the consent agenda. I guess we could, so, no, we'll wait, we have to go through these. So letter P, 55-20, Councilwoman Matute Brown.
Yes, I pulled this, and I do see that Councilman Kukorevic did request the CV, which was provided, that I am just looking at. So since I don't know if my council colleagues have all had the benefit of looking at the
Resume?
yeah, the curriculum vitae and all the other questions. But just for our benefit, Mr. Gross, can you just elaborate on the experience of Kenneth D. McPherson III and his appointment or in his capacity as planning board attorney?
I do not have the CV in front of me. I do know that legal reviewed all the resumes from responses and found that he had sufficient experience and was confident that he would do a good job.
So yeah, I'm going to ask Councilwoman to say a few words, because I know you've worked with this individual, and we're going to say what you know, what the concerns are. You know, the lack of experience, or is why it's what I'm picking up for the concern. But I know Councilwoman Cartney has worked with this individual, and
I did. Okay, thank you. Ken served on the planning board for a year, so we worked together there, so I have seen his very impressive resume. Pat Dwyer, who was our planning board attorney for the past 12 years, mentored Ken to get his certification. Ken worked at former Governor Burns' law office for years at Carell and Byrne in Roseland in land use experience, where he comes from a background of land use experience, but his father and grandfather were both attorneys, land use attorneys. He did tell me that if you want any references, he would be happy to get them to us. I think, yes, he's young. He does have experience from the job that he currently owns. He is out on his own right now, but from the experience, from the Correll and Byrne, and his own family background. He seems well-versed. He is young.
You also spent some time at Laventhal, which is a very prestigious real estate firm as well.
I do realize he's young, and that's really not my concern, because I think that is, for me anyway, not here or there. Students graduate law school, take their oh my God,
Bar.
their bar, and are clerking for judges at every level of our justice system, prior to actually even receiving their pass or fail. So I don't want to seem that it's because Kenneth is young. I did see that he was listed as an alternate for the planning board. I didn't know that he was mentored for his certification. Now, is his certification in, what is the certification?
Land use.
Land use, okay. And when was that certification? I don't want to sound like
I
I'm
don't have the
questioning.
dates. No, I don't.
Cross-examining here. No, just I didn't see that here.
I don't have those dates.
And however, it is, an understanding, and I did Google. I tried to find as much information because I didn't see this email come back in until after I arrived here today. I did Google, and I didn't see a lot of information except for social media pages, so it is quite concerning, particularly because we're entering into so many different developments in town. And I know, having attended several meetings of the planning board with Mr. Dwyer, he was quick, he knew his stuff, and I don't want to say unrelentless, but he gave every bit of confidence that he knew law, probably some law that others have forgotten. He's already, very well versed on. I am extremely concerned with the amount of experience that Mr. McPherson has here, and I which is why I pulled it. I'm not confident, and I want to know how far of a net did we cast to receive a request for proposals. I know that, and I wrote that down when you commented. Requests for qualifications, not proposals. Sorry. Requests for qualifications are sent out. When they're sent out, how far out is that net cast? God bless you.
Thank you. It's advertised.
It's advertised on our website and
on our website, the newspaper.
Does it advertise in the legal journals or any legal papers?
As you know, it's a pretty tight network. I mean, there's a lot of attorneys out there.
Oh, yeah.
We never have problems getting responses. I mean, we get a lot of responses. So.
And how many other responses did you receive for this request for qualifications?
I can't tell you that tonight, but we can provide that for you.
I just want to know what any others considered.
Yeah, if you read the resolution, the legal department read them and recommended him as.
I did read the resolution, Mr.
But
Sayers. Thank you.
The legal department recommended him as when it comes to attorneys, we let the legal department review the applications, and they determine who they think is the best person to bring in here.
I realize that.
They determined that this individual was the best person for us to bring in based on what we got. So we went by what the legal department had said to us.
And I understand that, but my question was, how many did they review
I'm not sure how many
advance?
they got, to be quite honest.
If we can get that information.
I'm not sure.
I think I've already stated that I'm not going to support this.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's your choice. Councilman Kukoviac?
Yes, thank you. I have known Kenny for a long time. He basically grew up in the same school, in the same circles that we did. He comes from a fine family. He was an excellent basketball player, very competitive. If you've ever seen him, there are very few players as competitive as Kenny McPherson. And he went on to coach youth basketball. He coached my son. He must have done something because my son played his best game while Kenny was coaching him. He comes from a fine family, no question. But I am also concerned that it appears that from his resume that he graduated from law school last spring, and appears that he either or opened his office or passed the bar in December. So he does not have a whole lot of experience, certainly as a professional member of the bar in this area, and that's my main concern. I'm going to reluctantly vote against this, but it's no knock on him. It's just that's what we all do when we get out of school. We got to start paying our dues, and I don't think our planning board is the place for him to start paying his dues.
So I'm going to go back to Councilman McCartney. You've had experience working with him directly. I don't think anyone should get penalized. I know Sal Anderton had started out in this position. John McKeon had started out with this position many moons ago. So, Councilman, do you feel comfortable with him in this position?
I feel he's very professional. Yeah, and again, it's a yearly contract. If, I don't know, we look at it, I think we give everyone a chance. I would be willing to give him a chance based on his professional.
I also, again, it's a yearly contract, and I know Mr. Greigel is there. It's not like he's just there on his own. So I'm comfortable with it.
Council President?
Yes.
The only thing I'm going to add, I don't know Mr. McPherson at all, frankly.
Yeah.
I do know Stern Laventhal. I've worked with Fred Laventhal.
Yeah.
I've worked with Mr. Stern. We've been adversaries as well as friends and
Yeah, they're
worked
tough.
together. I'm familiar with Corella Byrne. Both of those firms are very reputable and they have highly experienced land use attorneys. I'm impressed by the fact that his parent, or his father, I guess, was a land use attorney. I forget, there may have been somebody else in the family that was as well. I know how much I learned around the dinner table growing up with my father, and so there's some background that he has that's maybe above and beyond law school. So that's the only thing I can add.
Okay, so will, Madam Clerk, do you, well, you want to, you put it to a vote for this one?
Sure. Is there a motion to approve 55-20?
So moved.
Second. One second.
Councilman Guarino? Yeah, Councilman Guarino?
Me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
No.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Castellino?
Yes. I'm going to go backwards for a second.
Thank you.
Was that
Madam
just-
Clerk, to letter A, because we, oh, go ahead, Mr.
I'm just
Kaiser.
wondering if you're going to do the
No,
first. Okay.
I'm going a little backwards tonight, just for the sake of organization and discussion. Just go back to letter A. I think we've spoken enough on the goose control. Councilman, you still wanted that pulled, you said, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
It's just my annual voting against it because
Absolutely.
because I think we should be saving the money and just
Sure.
having volunteer group that does it. There's lots of other municipalities in the county that do it purely with volunteers.
That's okay. I just wanted to take it to a vote before we move forward. Madam Clerk?
Is there a motion to approve 40-20?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Castellino?
Yes. Okay, now we move to item number 58-20, Mr. Greigel's contract. So I passed down the increase in the fees. Now, he did abundance of work this year for us with the master plan. So this year, his yearly cost was about $100,000 that we round up, Mr. Gross?
That's correct.
Yeah, with all his fees incurred.
Council President, on that what was passed through, I noticed that they were not directly for Paul, they were for his support staff.
Yeah. Okay. Councilman Krokoviac, did you pull this one?
Yes, I did.
Go ahead.
I was just a little bit surprised about how much the non-escrow compensation was. It was like $103,000. And also, as you noted, the firm raised their prices on a lot of their support. And I'm thinking if, given this information, I think we should not just vote them in, but to do a more detailed, competitive opportunity to see if we can find another planning firm for them, particularly in connection with this consultant that's being discussed.
Just as a point of clarification, that $100,000 is over 2 years, not for 219, but it's
Okay.
the request, the information that you had requested was for over 218 to 219. So that $100,000 is over 2 years.
Yes, I did ask.
I wasn't sure that everybody understood that.
Right. I didn't understand it either because generally speaking, I ask for individual years. That way I can compare them.
You know, the way I read it was you wanted it for 2018 and 19. I ran the report together and that was it. So
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't give you two numbers, I gave you one.
Right. So,
Sure, point taken, I know.
Council President, just, and I know that when I came on, in this position last year, same seat, same resolution, I did vote against this resolution because I felt that we needed to enhance this position with a full-time position. I am happy that we have been working to make sure that we do have a town planner / economic developer here. And I just want to say that as a learning experience, and I like to take everyone along with me on learning experiences because I think it's important, the messaging that we put out there. So I did meet with Mr. Greigel, as I've been meeting with all the other departments, just to understand and ask him in his area of expertise, working with other municipalities, what did he feel would be needed in our planning department to make sure that we were able to streamline, therefore be more progressive and move our projects along more seamlessly. And what his vision, what he shared his vision to be was probably what I didn't know how to exactly articulate my vision to be. But turns out it was exactly the same of what I was thinking about. You know, he was able to pull from his expertise with so many other municipalities that he works with and make that comparison to here and say, well, these are the things I think that we need to help us along, right? So it's not a position where I feel that we can not have a planning director. I said last year, I'm very impressed by their portfolio. They do amazing work. However, I just think he needs a surrogate, if you will, here while he's not here. So I am going to support this year this resolution. I just wanted to be clear on the reasons why I was supporting it.
And well taken. I appreciate that you have taken the time this year because it is important, and we've all taken the time through the years, obviously, because we've been here. And sitting down with these various professionals and asking the right questions because, you know, we come here once a year and we look at these service contracts, and it's important that you really wrap your head around them. So I'm glad you have taken the time, Councilwoman. It's very important. Councilman Guarino?
It's the glasses.
No.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to say to supplement what Councilwoman Matute-Brown said, you know, working with Mr. Greigel, particularly on my pedestrian safety, he's been particularly, you know, helpful in us understanding how the traffic flows, how it affects the whole concept of the movement of the municipality, of whatever developments are done. And I got to say, he comes to my meetings. I mean, that's the thing. He's, you know, he's always there. He makes the effort, and I have to be thankful that we do have him because he's been the support that, because he teaches us. There are people on our board who don't understand traffic flow, movement, but what development does, and he's been able to help everyone get a better understanding. So when we make decisions, it's an educated decision. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman, and I look forward to a presentation moving forward with the economic development consultant. Madam Clerk?
Is there a motion to approve 5820?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman Matute-Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Castellino?
Yes. Okay, item 5920, which is letter T, our auditor. So, Mr. Gross, you said this increased by $1,000 from last year.
That's correct.
Did they indicate why?
They
For
did.
the amount for the increase? Is it, amount of work? Did we change anything?
No,
or-
there's no change in the work. I think, it has been steady for a few years, so this is.
Okay, Councilman
Normal
Kukoviac, I believe you pulled
There is,
this.
by the way, there is a typo in the resolution.
Yeah,
that
that was corrected. You
should be
corrected
to
it?
55.
No?
No, in fact, every year that he or the firm increases it, we have this mismatch.
Yeah.
It's happened like 3 or 4 times since I've been on the council. I don't know why. It's like this resolution is cursed. I don't know why. Anyway, I pulled it. I'm not going to belabor the issue. It's best practice in the business world to switch your auditors every several years. If I remember correctly, we have had the auditor, Mr. McInerney, since before the turn of the century, and I think it's a good idea to change auditors.
And just to clarify, one of the best practices, Councilman is absolutely right, and this particular firm, every 3 years or so, changes the principal, and that is an acceptable practice within that industry, so that we have, every year we have different people, and we, every 3 years or so, they change the principal. Mr. McInerney is no longer the principal. There's Mr. Gannon that's the principal as of last year, and I would, in the next couple of years, they'll change to someone else. So that, the reason being is you want to have different eyes, and it's really important, have different eyes looking on the same set so people don't become too comfortable. So I'm very confident that the township is getting the type of objective coverage from this firm as we should.
I appreciate that.
Anyone else have a question on this vendor? Councilman?
Because, Mr. Gross, in your dealings with this auditor, and have we ever had an issue where they've exposed the township to any issues, any financial auditing procedures, things that, just a general question. Have they always been due diligent in their work to us?
I think they've been very good, absolutely. They have a tough time finding things wrong, but they try. They try very hard.
They found those pennies one time. They found those pennies one time, remember?
They spend a lot of time with us.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Is there a motion to approve 5920?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Castellino?
Yes. Okay, we skip over to double D for McMahon, Scotland, and Bauman for bond counsel. Madam Clerk. I'm sorry, Councilman Kukoviac.
Yeah, again, I don't want to belabor the point. I
Sure.
pulled this because the firm is giving thousands of dollars in political campaign contributions to the mayor, and I think at the very least it appears to be, give at least the appearance of a conflict of interest, and I just think we should find a law firm, or at least tell them to stop that.
Okay, fair. Anyone else have a comment?
I do,
Councilwoman?
Council President. In this case, I do agree, as I did last year with Councilman Krokoviac. I know it's not on this agenda, and I hope to see it soon on our agendas. I know that I haven't pushed because we haven't had the time to have a discussion, but I do think that there has to be reformation in how we award contracts with respect to pay-to-play. I know it is legal here in New Jersey, but I do think that as a municipality, in an effort to continue to develop or re-nurture, if you will, trust in governance, that it is important that when we look at an ELEC form, we don't see those service providers and who are awarded contracts. I think that is a discussion that we should have. It's not one to have at this moment, so I do have to just state so. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I know we've used them at the school board for many years. They've been very dependable coming in regards when we do have a need for them. They've always seemed to be very thorough, so if administration, in fairness, I know where you're going with this in regards to transparency, and which is always a great thing, but that's why there's a disclosure statement, and we may have a different opinion on that, and I just, knowing the mayor, I just don't see this being the reason why he, would pick that. So, but you're right, there is that transparency issue hanging overhead, but I've been fine with their services, and Mr. Gross, I believe you're the one that has to work directly with them. So what's your take on the situation?
Great service.
They've been.
I find that all of our staff professionals perform to a very high degree and very responsive. I have no problem with these resolutions.
Okay.
Council President, could you just clarify, how long have they been with the school boards?
When I was there, quite a few years. Yeah. And I hear you, like we should shake things up, and I went through that. I went through that with there as well. And same thing with an auditor. We went to change the auditor once, and the same report came out with school spending funds with the PTA, always slack a receipt. So again, but they're good practices to have, and I commend both of you for bringing that up, because they are good practices to have. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Was there a motion to approve 6920?
So moved.
Second. Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
No.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Castellino?
Yes. Now, same conversation, where I guess if anyone wants to add, we could just vote for 70-20 was pulled.
Yes, I have the same concerns.
Okay. Duly noted. Madam Clerk?
Is there a motion to approve 7020? Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
No.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Castellino?
Yes. Okay, double F, Mr. Trank's contract. Mr. Krokoviac.
Yeah, I just-
Krokoviac.
One day soon. One day soon.
Council,
Again, this is just not really housekeeping, but I have been of the opinion for the last few years that we should change our lawyers, and so I just uphold this. I think Mr. Trank has been here for a very long time, and I think it's time for a change.
Okay.
Council
Anyone
President.
else? Go ahead.
I just wanted to, kind of similar to my position last year with respect to the town planner, I also voted no for Mr. Trank's contract because I just didn't feel that it was, it's kind of like keeping it all in the family, because while he's been the township attorney here since 1990, what,
1998.
Oh, 1998. That was my position. Again, sitting in this seat last year with the same resolution. Fast forward a year, I've had sometimes the frustration and the privilege to work with Mr. Trank. I think that there is something to be said about institutional knowledge that comes along with professional services rendered. I feel that my experience with him this year in asking and really digging deep, and I'm sure that I'm not exaggerating, and maybe you can both attest to that, when he's been incredibly fair and patient and very demonstrative in his information that he provides when I have asked for it. However many times I have to ask for it, I think it was over even Christmas time that, there's emails that go back and forth, and I'm looking at the rate of what he charges. I did ask Mr. Gross, and I know it was, last night, and I didn't expect for you to have it this time, But what was the total, because the way, and just so that the public is aware, the compensation is varying. If we're looking at what law firms are paid, it's minimal, right? $41,000. I don't even think a paralegal makes twice that much at a good law firm. His hourly rate is $125 or $175 at this point, and that is incurred for matters outside of, let's say, litigation issues, right? Which, unfortunately, we have a lot of. Unfortunately and fortunately, because I think that it's good practice to be challenged on matters that we all disagree with. But here again, I find myself having to reflect on the work that Mr. Trank does, and I wouldn't have had this opinion if I didn't have this last year to have worked with him. So I just felt that I wanted to say that.
Great.
Council President, I'm just going to add something here. As a matter of law, under the mayor-council form of government, the township attorney's term is coterminous with that of the mayor.
That too.
Which I put in the agreement. Mr. Trank, despite that, insists on every year going through this process because there is another law, in the local public contracts law, that provides for annual contracts for professional services. However, there's case law that says that in the case of a township attorney and mayor-council form of government, there's an exception. So he really doesn't have to do this every year, but he does. So I'm just, as a matter of law, he's going to be the town attorney unless the mayor terminates him, until the mayor's term is finished.
Thank you for noting that, Councilwoman. You had your hand up.
I would just kind of to reiterate what my colleague just said about Richard is that I don't think you would ever find anyone as driven and motivated and passionate about the work that we do here. We see it I guess I see it a lot in land use with Executive Drive, the push for Rock Spring, the library even, and Central Avenue. Near and dear, as a Valley girl, near and dear to my heart. I appreciate that, and he is at your beck and call, whether it's a text or a phone call, always at the ready, and that level of expertise that I find is outstanding.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Guarino?
I just have to stay with the legal, and Mr. Trank, is that he's never exposed the township to any great liability or loss. He's always had the township's best interest. He's always given the council any guidance that we needed, any understanding, education, and to me that's very important. Besides anything else, but we're not attorneys. We're not. Some of and some of us, we always need that little extra to understand before we make decisions. So I feel that's always been presented to the table and to the council.
Thank you, Councilman.
Council President, I just want to clarify, it's $125 an hour, because I'm sure that'll come back.
Level of expertise at that.
It's $125 an hour.
And I just want to add to the conversation.
That's very low.
What I enjoy with having a working relationship with Mr. Trank is if you could get him to slow down, because and God bless him, he runs a million miles an hour, but he will, listen to you and listen to your ideas and take another view on what you're trying to explain and try to hash out for the betterment of the township. So I've always appreciated the time spent. With that point, Madam Clerk, vote 71-20.
Yes, is there a motion to approve 7120?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes?
Council President Castellino?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, double K, 76-20, Mr. Kaiser. He's up, Councilman Kukoviac.
Yes. Again, I just have the same perspective with Mr. Kaiser as I do with Mr. Trank. I just think it's time for us to change.
Okay, thank you for
President.
that, Councilwoman.
Here again, level of expertise at this particular rate that we have in this contract. What I find interesting with Mr. Kaiser is that he always tells us that he's so busy in a trial or wrapped up in something, and then at midnight you get an 18-paragraph dissertation on anything we discussed in the council meeting. So I appreciate that. Again, level of expertise and the amount of time that he puts in to explain the law and how we can move forward.
Councilwoman?
Thank you, Council President. I have to echo those same sentiments. I come from a family of lawyers, my husband, my daughter, and when I look at the amount of work, well, I've witnessed for, my husband's been in practice for almost 30 years, I can't believe I'm saying that, and our daughter now for a number of years. It's a lot of work. I mean, it doesn't end at the end of the day. You go home and there's more work, and Mr. Kaiser, whether I ask for an opinion, or sometimes he feels I need some reinforcement, or, I may have misunderstood something. Even when I don't solicit information, he feels that, his responsibility to make sure that I understand the position that I take, and always provides case law for it. So I appreciate that. You're like Westlaw, right, on autopilot. And I want to say, and I have to say out loud, the rate is $31,500. You certainly work so much more than that. So I just wanted to say thank you. I appreciate his professionalism, his knowledge, and your expertise.
And I have to reiterate as well, Mr. Kaiser, the weekends, and Mr. Trank, Mr. Gross, and even Mr. Sayers, all of you are always available to us, especially with us. We all have full-time jobs during the week, such as you, and sometimes we can't get to our packets to the weekend, and I never have to hesitate, and my colleagues, to bother you over your weekend, which I really reserve doing unless I really have to pick your brains on something, but you always, all of you, make yourselves available, and that is so important to us as elected officials that are not professionals in many subjects. And so we Mr. Kaiser, thank you, and thank all of you. So, Madam Clerk?
Is there a motion to approve 76-20?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Kukoviac?
No.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Castellino?
Yes. And now that we went through everything, we need to
Council President,
go
I
to
thought
consent.
somebody pulled HH.
We took that off of,
Okay.
yeah, we took that off. We put that back on consent.
Okay.
So we have to go back to the consent agenda. Just to go over, we pulled A, we did P, ST, double D, double E, double F, double K. Everything else, Madam Clerk, we have to vote on consent.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is implemented.
I want to thank my colleagues. I hope I didn't confuse anybody. I hope that was a little
Organized.
little more productive. I know it's hard with all of these resolutions. We'll have some more next time, maybe about 10 or 12 more, I think we have coming, so.
The next time my hearing aids will be in.
Oh, yeah, hopefully have a hearing. So now we move on to, Madam Clerk, ordinance on
First reading. 2598-20, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 25, Section 25-30.2 of the revised general ordinances of the township entitled Historic Preservation Commission, subsections A and B, to add a council liaison as an ex officio non-voting member. Is there a motion to introduce on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so
Wait, I
this
have to
is-
take a roll call.
Oh, sorry.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Kukoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Castellino?
Yes.
Okay.
And just a housekeeping question. So once we move this on next reading, then we'll officially vote for Councilman Kukoviac to
I'm
be
going to
the
put a
liaison?
resolution on.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Oh, so we could wrap it up all next
Correct.
agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyone has questions on?
Well, not so much a question, but another comment, then this will then end up on our council liaison list in January?
Yes.
or when
Yeah.
we-
Yes, it will.
Good,
Okay.
thank
So
you.
we'll make you all officially official.
Ordinance 2599-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Section 14.2 of the revised general ordinances of the Township Police Department organizational
Right.
chart.
Adding-
Right.
So move.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes?
Council President Castellino?
Yes. So there was conversation on this one in regards to the promotion. And Councilman, I know you had a question that was answered on, over the email, but go ahead, you could.
Well, I was just going to ask if somebody could explain what's going on here. I mean, I know, but
It's
if anybody.
it's additional lieutenant's position, correct?
Yeah,
Right.
one additional lieutenant's position.
Right.
That's all.
So we have to change the ordinance because
That's what you're voting on.
we're limiting.
For housekeeping, okay.
And the reason that we're adding this is that
You-
in the latest lieutenant's test,
They tied.
2 people tied.
I believe.
Has that happened
A
before?
complete tie.
Right.
that
It's
how-
very
A
rare. Complete tie.
Yeah.
It's very rare.
Right.
So congratulations to our officers, and we look forward to the second reading.
So this is going to be expanded from 11 to 12 lieutenants, and it has a sunset provision that it would go back to 11, I think, in 2021. I'm not looking at the ordinance.
March
Does anybody ring a
17th.
bell?
2021.
Yes.
Yes.
March of
Unless,
21.
unless the person who is in that 12th position
Retired.
wishes to continue on as a lieutenant, in which case they can stay on.
In essence, then it becomes till the next retirement. Once the next retirement occurs, then that position can't be filled because there won't be that retirement will officially drop it down to back to the 11. So it's basically what happens is that these 2 individuals, if it were to go back, we'd be right back where we are today. We'd have to make, well, which one are you going to bring back? So they get to continue out, and then when there's movement, either a retirement of a lieutenant or a retirement of a captain or a deputy chief, and somebody moves up, then the number will go back to 11.
Okay.
Well, congratulations.
Ordinance 2600-20, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7 Traffic, subsection 7-19, through streets, and 7-21 multi-way stop intersection of the revised general ordinances of West Orange. Is there a motion to introduce
Move
on
it.
first reading?
Yeah, I will.
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Castellino?
Yes, however, I like I know Mr. Lepore is away, and where this sounds like this would be a good thing for Burnett and Walker Road, I talked to a few residents in that area, and they're concerned because it is right on the slope of the hill.
Right.
And so there's a concern with going up the hill and even cars coming over the top of the hill going down. So so I have a few questions for Mr. Lepore. So I'll talk to him between now and then, but he'll probably be present at the next one. Go ahead, Councilman.
No, thank you. This is based upon all the pedestrian safety and all the things coming, especially on Walker Road and Burnett, how people fly across and everything. Just getting people to slow down or enforcing them to stop will make a big impression. Plus, because it's right by the school, that whole area is just a block and a half away from Lowell, which is right by Gregory
My
School.
phone was ringing on this one, so
sorry?
my phone was ringing on this one. The consensus is, for the people that live right there, is they're concerned with if you're people that come down Walker Road, and all of a sudden they're going to have to stop short because they're on the incline. And then for the people going up Walker Road, they're going to be probably going through it anyway because it's hard, it's such a steep incline.
Correct.
So.
And also, so they wanted it to be, not to interrupt you, they wanted it to be a one-way. That was, some residents were pushing to make it one-way.
Okay, so we need for him to come in and a discussion with Mr. Lepore. Was the residents, can we find out if the residents were, I know we always notify when we have a change of this nature, but what the response was? Because sometimes we always don't have a great response, and then we find out later on that there's issues, as I heard, via telephone conversations.
Council President?
Yes,
My
Councilwoman.
understanding is that, when I don't have the statistics on this, but 75%, if a survey was done about this, 75% of the survey has to come back in favor for Lenny to even move in this direction.
Okay.
I really would like to hear that discussion. We did something similar on Mitchell, making that a four-way stop also, but it's not as steep as Burnett and Walker.
Yeah, this is right here.
Very steep.
Yeah. Okay, that's all. If Mr. Lepore could be present at the next meeting for second reading.
What?
Will we be back by then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the 9th. He's come back the 9th.
Okay. Ordinance
great.
2601-20, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7, Traffic, subsection 7-29.1, speed limits in the revised general ordinances of West Orange. Is there a motion to introduce on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Kukoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes?
Council President Castellino?
Yes. Okay, so this is lowering the
good one.
speed limit from 25 miles per hour from Gregory Avenue to the westerly intersection with Lowell Avenue, except for a school speed limit of 15 miles per hour while children are going to and from school during opening and closing hours. So if you'd like to come to the next meeting on second hearing, if you have any comments, please do so. Okay, next we have pending matters, new matters, council discussion. So what I'd like to do, first real quick, before I make a motion to go into executive session to wrap up the meeting, I would like to ask Mr. Gross about a budget timeline. Are you getting any closer to having any idea of when we'll be getting to our budget?
I actually had hoped to be able to give you the budgets this evening, but we're not quite there. I delivered, I hope, what I think is hopefully be the last drafts to the mayor today, and once he signs off them, we'll then prepare it, and hopefully by the end of the week. I would ask you to consider the council budget hearing to set a tentative date of March, the weekend of the 21st and 22nd. if
March
possible.
21st and 22nd?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the one weekend.
With anticipation of introducing on the 24th. And we'll provide you a tentative proposed schedule for the whole cycle when I send out the budget.
Okay, and then we'll schedule the directors to come in.
That's the 21st.
Hopefully, we'll try to wrap up, what did we go, 12 hours last year?
Do those
Which
dates
was-
work for everybody?
The 21st doesn't work for me.
I mean, I have something planned, but I could
do
change,
too,
I could
that
change
day.
mine.
Same thing.
The 22nd, okay for you, Councilwoman?
On the the 22nd can work. I can change what I have on the 22nd. What time on the 21st would we be
It would be
looking?
9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We usually do it.
Oh, God, I tried to forget that time.
Yeah, remember that nightmare?
We took
what day are we talking
every minute of that and some,
The 21st.
The 21st?
Yes.
or the 22nd, or,
Right. Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
We
Okay.
usually
I meant
schedule two
you
dates
do
just in
too.
case we
Yeah,
have to
okay.
go to the second date.
All right.
Right.
But most of
I'll
the
make
time,
it
we
work.
don't do that.
So we're good for the 21st and
I'll make
22nd?
it work.
Are you sure?
I
Because
have to do the same.
it's going to be long. I mean.
No, I know. I just have to.
9 a.m. again?
9 a.m., unless you want to start an hour earlier.
I mean, and just for argument's sake, for the 22nd, I mean, last year, we were all sitting there, all decided to stay. So, like, make sure you're really good for the 21st if everybody wants to wrap it up on the 21st and get
Usually
done
we
when
get
we
it
get
done
done.
in one day,
Yeah.
usually.
So then if.
We
if-
voted to stay,
Yeah,
sorry,
we
but we
did.
did vote to stay.
Yeah.
If we
I
do
think
thus the
before I was here, you
22nd.
went- Before I was here, you went Tuesday, but since I've been here, we've never gone to the second.
No.
True.
Well, if we just leave it for the 22nd, then we don't have to change all the plans on the 21st.
And Mr. Gross, again, I just want to reiterate, because I know we had mention of, like with our officer tonight with, in regards to vehicles, like anything our officers or firefighters or any department member feels that's needed. I mean, there's a process where it goes right up to the department head, which would either be the chiefs or the directors of each department, and then a decision is made in that department's budget before it comes to us.
Well, and you
Capital.
see all the requests, even if the mayor decides that a request, in his opinion, is not warranted or ill-timed, you see that the department had made the request, and then it was, so everything is transparent.
Okay, great.
So do we want to do the 22nd and maybe start an hour earlier at 8?
On
Yeah,
the
but if you do
Sunday?
Here's
We're doing
the
the
problem,
21st
if
to
you
the
just do the
22nd, right?
22nd. If you go to a second day, then we have to wait and go into the following week. Whereas if you do the 21st and you have to go for a second day, at least you can go the next day. That's why we do it that way.
Right, but what are the chances we're doing a second day?
I'm just saying.
Maybe we'll
You don't
try
wanna
real
put
hard.
yourself in that
I thought
position.
we had settled on 21st.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we're
but-
saying that if we could do it in one day, then we don't have to make all the plan changes from
Right.
the 21st if we
Oh,
just
I
did
see.
it on the 22nd.
And
If we do it in
Sunday's
one day,
hard.
We're all
if
making
we
it
do it in
tough.
one day, it's going to depend on you 5 people.
Yeah.
Because we have our budget presented, we're going to explain it, depending upon how long you guys take to look it over and discuss it. That's going to depend on whether it takes one day or more than one day.
So when will we receive it?
Yes.
So that's important, because
You
what
should-
is every,
Assuming everything goes as we anticipate, you should have it before the end of the week.
By the end of the week.
So you'll have 2
This-
weeks to review it.
The end of
This week, March 6th.
Yeah.
and then if anybody has any, obviously the directors and all will come in, and you could ask any questions that you want, but you're also free to call them ahead of time if you have a
Absolutely.
question.
And as a suggestion, one of the things that we notice happens a lot is once you have the director's ears, sometimes the conversation goes off of budget into more operations because of things you're honestly interested
Yeah.
in. And when that occurs, obviously that takes time away from getting the budget done. So, to the extent that you can minimize that, it's always a good idea.
You'll have to moderate.
We will.
Can we have it here? Can we have it in, did you print it out last time? You did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll get it.
Thank you.
And what about your organizational chart?
That'll all be in it.
Everything will be there.
Very good, okay, we're getting
So the
places here.
organization, not just department
Yeah.
heads, it'll be spelled out.
Yeah, so it's all done.
Great.
Would it be too much to ask for the capital improvement plan?
Won't be, you won't,
Yeah,
it
he never
won't
has
be
that ready.
Available for
Friday.
The 22nd.
the 20, for discussion on the 21st and 22nd. But I anticipate to be able to have it for council agenda, perhaps even the 24th.
Wow.
And then that gives you 2 weeks before, or more, actually it's 3 weeks, I think, because there's an extra week in there this time,
Yeah.
before it would come up for consideration. So I think, that way it would come up with the budget, you'd be adopting the budget and the capital plan at the same time. Works out from we think it works out better that way.
So just so that I'm clear, capital budget and a capital plan, right?
Well, the capital budget is the
Is the
capital.
plan.
No, but what we've been talking about and what we've been asking is that when we have the capital budget, right, and I know that there are things that are outlined in that, but what we've been asking for is that, so last year, however much the capital budget was, and every time we approve a capital improvement project, to
Did it
be
get
able
done?
to see its timeline and progression.
So what got done, what didn't get done?
So you want it, okay, we're maybe talking terminology. What I think you're asking for, which we anticipate, you wanted to see what outstanding projects
Pending.
are out there to
Outstanding.
be completed.
Yes.
Right, you want the CPM, you want the project management plan, that's what you want. I have to ask you-
That's anticipated.
Okay.
This is terminology. In municipal world, the capital ordinance is technically the capital plan. Now, it's, what you're talking about and what you're calling a plan is not, it's not the same thing in municipal finance. That's why.
Your timeline.
Right, can I ask the question? I'm sorry, and I apologize if I didn't hear it. When you're putting the budget together in the presentation, will the org charts be in there by department?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's complete org charts, all, you know?
Plus a diagram.
Okay.
Councilman Krovic, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just had a couple
That wasn't
things.
asked, right? I wanna make sure.
One, we haven't voted on an executive session, so we need
Sorry,
to do
Susan.
that.
Yeah, we're going to do that next.
Okay.
I just want to finish up this
And then I also
discussion.
have a couple of items for matters pending, and I wasn't sure if that was clear. It sounds like you want to move along the meeting to the end.
What I'd like to do tonight is, because negotiations does seem something we need to get caught up, and depending how long we go in, do you have something real quick that you like to discuss? Like, I mean, a quick question they could get back to us?
No,
Because-
it's not a question.
Okay.
I wanted to do two things. I wanted to respond to Ms. Anderson's comments, public comment at the last council meeting, and I also wanted to have us discuss this email last week that was headed alleged interference by a council member of a criminal complaint.
Okay. So I'm going to, so I'm going to defer that to Mr. Kaiser to respond to Councilman. Did you get a chance? We got an email. Did that go to everybody, or did that just go to?
I mean, I got a copy of an email, I don't remember who sent it to me, I don't remember if it was you.
Oh, I
or-
think I sent it to ask you to, I deferred it to you.
You may have, and the plain,
He's on the original thread.
you know,
Oh, he is? Okay.
whenever a matter that's potentially criminal is brought up, we don't have jurisdiction to deal with that. We're not a law enforcement body. And frankly, the West Orange Police Department really wouldn't get involved because the allegation involves local officials and people. So the people to go to, the agency to go to is the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, which may refer to the New Jersey Attorney General's Office, depending on the circumstances. But that's the supervising law enforcement authority over all municipalities. And if there's any allegations of criminal activity, regardless, that's the body that would take it up, the agency that would take it up.
Well, then can you respond to the resident that sent the email to let that person know they need to go that route?
I really, again, we're talking about, if I remember correctly, posts on Facebook and all these.
Well, this isn't response to, oh, wait, I guess that was, because that wasn't a conversation from the last meeting, right?
No, that was.
No, it was an
No.
email that this person sent on February 28th.
Okay.
I don't remember the details.
Okay.
Somebody sent it to me, if I'm thinking of the
If
same
you
thing.
could review the situation, and if it's appropriate to respond, please do. That's all.
fine.
Okay. Councilman, I want to make a motion, so you have 2 minutes for a response to last week's, or 2 weeks ago, whenever that was.
Okay, I don't know if I can do it in 2 minutes, but it's pretty
Or
close.
best as possible.
Ms. Susan Anderson spoke at public comment at the February 18th council meeting. I didn't respond to her remarks then because I wanted to take some time to review her comments and consider what I would say. First, I hope it goes without saying that any letter similar to the one Ms. Anderson said she was reading excerpts from has no place in our community or any decent community. We must strive for civility and treat each other as we would like to be treated, even when we disagree with others. And by the way, I acknowledge that treating others as I'd like to be treated is a goal that I don't always achieve. I have great sympathy for Ms. Anderson's experience as she communicated it. Second, I'm simply going to point out some facts I think are relevant to her public comment appearance that weren't mentioned at the last council meeting. Ms. Anderson identified herself as the town's former public information officer. She did not identify herself as the former executive director and artistic director of the town's Oscar Schindler Performing Arts Center. The management and finances of OSPAC during her time there are under criminal investigation. We know this because this investigation has been discussed very generally at council meetings for roughly the last year. She mentioned NJAI, which is the acronym for the New Jersey Arts Incubator, but she didn't identify it as the former licensee of OSPAC. As background, the former treasurer of OSPAC had a lengthy discussion of his concerns about what was going on there in a meeting with Mayor Parisi in 2018. That conversation appears to have started this investigation, which has continued as recently as a few council meetings ago, according to Mr. Sayers. A few members of our community have spoken at council meetings, sent emails to council members, worked with investigators, and posted to West Orange social media with accusations and documentation. Although Ms. Anderson said at the start of her remarks that she was quoting excerpts from an anonymous letter that she said was sent to her brother, Ms. Anderson also said she knew who sent the letter and spent much of her public comment criticizing this unnamed person, the council, and me by name. I have turned over documentation in my possession related to OSPAC management and finances to an investigator. I have also tried to provide some transparency to this matter at council meetings because OSPAC is a town asset that belongs to all of us. As a result of the investigation, the town replaced NJAI, the OSPAC licensee with which Ms. Anderson worked, and the council approved the administration's candidate for a new licensee last year. In addition, Councilwoman Matute Brown put forward an ordinance that was approved that created a committee to oversee programming and finances at OSPAC. Ms. Anderson, as well as anyone else under criminal investigation in this matter, is of course presumed innocent. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Again, I'm glad you did add that because I believe this investigation is not from the township, it's from a member of the community to the county. Mr. Kaiser, am I correct in that statement, to my knowledge?
I believe so. I'm not sure of all the details, but...
Yeah, okay. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to talk about negotiations. Do I have a second?
Yes, is that the vote?
No, is there a
I
second?
second. I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We need all 5 votes.
The motion is carried.
Everybody vote?
Yes.
Yes. And then we will not be coming back out for...
You're all done?
Yeah, we're done. We don't have anything else.
All right, say
No
goodnight.
other-
See you at the
Good night.
parade.
Yes,
See you at the
remember,
parade.
Thursday, March 15th, West Orange St. Patrick's Day Parade, or Sunday, March 15th.
I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
And our next meeting is...
I need a second.
Tuesday,
Second.
March 24th.
I need to know if everyone's in favor.
Aye.
Adjourning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Good night, West Orange. Thank you, folks, for coming down this evening.